through your freedom.
Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore. Hell yes, hell yes, hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15. Hell yes, your AK-47. Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15.
Oh, hell no!
Hell yes, we're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore.
Well, everybody, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. I have got a hell of a story, a hell of a show, a hell of an attitude for the left like you wouldn't believe. I want to thank everybody. Thank Mr. T. I want to thank Ooman. I want to thank Chin Music. I want to thank Jolene. I want to thank everybody. Everybody's been stepping up lately, working on the show, helping the show, supporting the show, it's too much. I have been busting my ass working. And I think there's probably, it looked like 4 or 5 emails from Mr. T with new material. And I hope you guys really like the intros, the outros, the everything that we've got. He does a great job. Some of the stuff is just too hot to put on here. Other things are just fantastic, and I feel that they're safe and won't give us a strike and won't get me shot, killed, stabbed, or beaten. But that being said, I want you to know that we need to fight like we mean it. At some point, you may have to face that demon, the one right in front of you, the one that wants to take your life. So that's part of the show today, fight like you mean it. And I want to talk to you about a few items that I have. So let's get to the stop story. All righty, the lead story, the top news, well, I guess I'm going to have to still call it satire, but it is funny as hell to me, satire or no. Well, today, Senator Markwayne Mullin decided he's had enough shit, enough trash talking, enough antagonization, and he is a U.S. Senator, a Republican out of Oklahoma. Well, he stood up, folks. And he threw down and he told the labor union president during the hearing, it's go time. Now, this is from the Gateway Pundit. I want to read you a little bit of the way they wrote it. Senator Markwayne Mullin nearly got into a fight with Sean O'Brien, the general president of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, during a Senate Help Committee hearing. Mullin challenged O'Brien, who is the union thug, to a fight after the senator from Oklahoma read a tweet from said thug O'Brien that called Senator Mullin a fraud and continued to say, quote, "You know where to find me, any place, anytime, cowboy." After reading O'Brien's tweets to the Senate, mind you, Mullin stated, quote, "Sir, this is a time, this is a place. You want to run your mouth? We can be 2 consenting adults. We can finish it," end quote. Now, that was what the Gateway Pundit said. Here's what I have to say. Sorry, U.S. Senator. A fistfight is considered assault, battery, amongst other things. Duels are now illegal. Can't go that way either. And you can thank the soft hearts of women and the cowardice of men in the 1800s for getting rid of duels. But if you put on gloves and enter a fighting ring, somehow assault, battery becomes sport. So I say challenge that piece of sluggish union shit to a fight in a ring and show the world his cowardice. Just like the cowards of the 1800s who wanted to talk shit but not face the consequences. Now, at the worker level, labor unions are about wages, good wages. I get it. But labor unions are communist in origin, like it or not. Labor Day is about pacifying and mollifying the unions, the communists of the 1930s. Social Security was part of the program to start incorporating communist shit in our country by Franklin Delano Roosevelt, pile of shit president. Labor union bosses are sacks of shit, and they murder or have murdered their opponents. That's proof enough for me, folks. That's proof enough for me. I've been very close to murderous Teamsters and other unions in the East Bay of California, folks, when they thought murder was appropriate. And the police, folks, they let it slide. Murder. Union scum allows union scum to get away with felonies. Police belong to unions. Unions are communist. They're good for wages at the worker level, but they're communist at the upper level, period. Communist in principle, communist in practice. In the spirit of telling communists to go fuck themselves, any communist who wants to fight me in the ring is invited. You have to be a club member to get your email to me, though. You have to agree to us filming it and putting it on YouTube for my profit. No profit will go to you, you stinking communist pigs, since you don't believe or like profits. And you will get a fair share of ass beating because communists believe in getting their fair share. And if you can't travel, I can arrange for a local patriot, veteran, or Viking to beat your ass senseless in the boxing ring. Just wanted to get that out there today. I'm feeling like fist fighting or fucking. And since I'm not fucking any of you, that leaves fighting. And here we go. Speaking of thugs and scum, hate is now in sports. We have watched and listened to the NBA and how they kowtow to the Chinese communists and suck up to them, and World Wrestling Federation stars as well. We've listened to the NFL bend over backwards or bend over forwards or suck it with Bud Light and other woke companies. Fuck them. Major League Baseball, everyone. Well, what I'm talking about here is hate is now into the sports. There was a hockey game in England where a skater flew through the air and used his skate to slice the jugular, the throat of an opposing hockey player wide open. He bled out on the fucking ice, folks. He died. Looked like someone opened a garden hose full of blood. Now that guy has been arrested on suspicion of manslaughter. Well, the fucking guy died. Manslaughter, you bet. Now, what kind of manslaughter? Intentional, which is murder, premeditated, or spur of the moment? Anyways, the hockey player who died was Adam Johnson. Hate is now in sports. Everyone was concerned about the guy who was injured, except the guy who flew through the air and used his hockey skate like a fucking sword on this guy's throat. You come to your own conclusion about evil and assholes, folks. Evil and assholes. In hockey, you keep your fucking skates on the ice because it's a blade. Now, I want to go to this. It's a story about Georgetown University. And I think I'll read from Gateway Pundit again on this because I want to use their journalistic, shall we say, language. I'm going to use their journalistic language to describe the situation. And you can tell me or decide, do I report news? Do I speak about topics in a similar fashion, right? Or do I sound like some kind of backwoods retarded hick? Anyways, let me tell you about what's going on. And this is from the Gateway Pundit. America's oldest Catholic institution, Georgetown University, was forced to host leaders. They were forced to host leaders, folks, of the Satanic Temple. Now, donors, alumni, and students were outraged, but certain university leadership fought against the misuse of funds. Now, once there, the leaders of the Satanic Temple chastised students about their Catholic beliefs, capitalism, and even an appreciation for American and Western culture as a whole. Georgetown's devout Catholic donors unknowingly paid for an anti-religious hate group to speak at their university. Now, they discussed capitalism, morality, funding, right? These are the topics we cover, folks. The topics we cover. The Satanists got into a Catholic institution, Georgetown, and brought this and used it as an opportunity to shit all over them once they got to speak. Now, I want you to remember, this is me talking, not Gateway Pundit, by the way. Don't forget that the Satanic Temple publicly states that the murder of unborn babies is a right that they have. And they have fought in court to be allowed to murder babies as a religious sacrament. They're truly perverted. They are mentally deranged. They are, without a doubt, evil, murderous freaks who hate America, our culture, traditions, laws, the principles, the guidelines, everything. And now they've weaseled their way into a Catholic institution, another one. And it's funny, I want you to know, because I love satire. It's funny how the satanic values align so closely with Democrats, rhino Republicans like McCarthy, and other communist and fascist murderers. They hate capitalism, and they think abortion is a right. That's what Democrats believe in, and that's what rhino Republicans believe in. So yeah, they have a whole lot in common with a satanic temple. And can you believe it? Can you imagine showing up at an institution of higher learning that is based and founded within the Catholic Church, and then to tell them how wrong they are, while at the same time holding on to a murderous doctrine? That's how sick the left is, folks. It's just how sick they are. I tell you, I'm pretty fucking pissed off today. Thank you very much, everybody, again, for supporting. Thank you for a good show on Sunday Night Live. I ended up buying another bottle of delicious scotch so that we have one in the just ready to go. You guys have done a great job. Anyways, I want to unbox it next Sunday. We'll see if we can get there. Anyways, let's continue if we shall. I want to remind everyone that the January 6th political prisoners are in prison. Zach Rell, who is a political prisoner, I think he was given 15 years, had this to state, quote, "We are supposed to be in the USA. We have a constitution. How is this happening?" Not only is he an American, not only is he a married man, a father, he is also a Marine Corps veteran. And he was railroaded, and they fabricated charges, evidence, and put him in front of a fake jury. All of those things were mentioned, folks, in the Declaration of Independence. When the colonists said, "No more, you guys are liars, you're scum," etc. Speaking of the government of England, for manufacturing charges, for creating false evidence, for presenting it in a court that did not recognize law or allow people to defend themselves. Remember that. You're supposed to be allowed to defend yourself. Look at how they're trying to keep Trump from defending himself. This is the world we live in, folks. We are supposed to be in the United States of America. We do have a constitution. How is this happening? Because we have communists or commu-fascists in Washington, D.C., a.k.a. they are globalists. Globalists, folks. Now, I want to come down this road. Oh, by the way, get your questions, comments, thoughts down below. Now, in Ukraine, folks, they're witnessing and dealing with the same thing we are here. It's just they're at a little higher level of SHTF. In Ukraine, a lawmaker, a legislator, he's being charged with the crime of spreading misinformation. Now, they aren't just, no, that's what he did wrong. Hear me? Spreading misinformation isn't the crime. What he did wrong was spreading misinformation. The crime they're charging him with is treason. Treason. So they can say, you've committed treason, and here's how you did it, spreading misinformation. Now here they'll say you were spreading misinformation, so you violated YouTube's rules. You violated Google's rules. You violated Twitter's or Instagram or Google or social media's rules. You violated Hillary Clinton's rules. And therefore you're charged with, right now they're not charging us with anything, folks. They're just silencing us, shadow banning us, defunding us, stealing our incomes, ruining our lives. But in Ukraine, they're one step further. All you need to do is look at what they're doing over there and see that that's what they want to do here. Now, with Ukraine in mind, when the smoke clears, the bullshit dries up and blows away in the wind. When those things happen, we can see the facts a little more clearly. They may be scattered about, but they're still visible as facts. To criticize Zelensky apparently is now treason. Now, the person charged with treason, who is a legislator, right? It's just a big wow to me. This guy's a former reporter also. Now, I want to remind everyone that General Zaluzhny, and forgive me for mispronouncing his name, he was the former, he is now the former commander-in-chief of the military. He was contradicting Zelensky too much and was fired. Much like Adolf Hitler of the Nazis fired his officers for having opinions of their own. Now, this legislator is being charged with treason for exposing or at least claiming that Zelensky and the administration in Ukraine, the government, are stealing U.S. funds sent to fight the war. Now, I want to read his letter. And he's actually reaching out to America for help. Can you believe that shit? He's in Ukraine. And he's asking for American help. Here's his quote. I am publicly addressing journalist Tucker Carlson, who will not be afraid to cover the topic of political persecution of the only politician and former journalist in Ukraine who openly spoke about corruption of the country's senior officials and the facts of theft of U.S. financial assistance through the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, in which deputies of the Servant of the People Party and officials of the Office of the President are involved. Pretty nasty charges. So making that claim, they're saying, is misinformation and therefore treason. He says, I am the only one talking about this corruption, which is supported by numerous facts and journalistic investigations. And it is for this that they want to put me in jail on yet another trumped-up charges. He says, by joining our forces, and I guess he means with the U.S. media, which, by the way, Mr. his name is Dubinsky. Mr. Dubinsky, the media in the United States of America is a crock of shit, too. So he's hoping for Tucker Carlson. But he says, by joining our forces, meaning Tucker, we will be able to reveal to the world the truth about the gang of swindlers who captured Ukraine. Reveal the ugly truth that Yermak, who works for Zelensky, and their associates are trying to hide. Yeah, folks, the legislator, Alexander Dubinsky, has been formally notified that he is suspected of treason for allegedly spreading misinformation. Well, if they think he's lied, don't you think they should just sue him for defamation of character, lying about the government, something? Have a court hearing, let him produce his evidence. No, they just want to charge him, folks. The moral of the story is don't ever speak against your leaders, right? I think, what's worse, Ukraine's style of democracy? That needs to be saved. We're sending money over there to save a government that wants to do this. Folks, how many times have I said, you said, we've discussed that the most corrupt country on the planet is Ukraine. Ukraine. The most corrupt on the planet. And their own government or members of the government are saying, hey, they're stealing the money. They're pocketing it. Unbelievable, folks. What is going on? And what is the American government doing to address this? Not a fucking thing. Not a fucking thing. Now, it is time, folks, for us to say what needs to be said, to stand up for ourselves. I am not promoting violence, but I'm going to tell you the left is violent. All right, I talked to you about the senator who said, enough of this shit. You want to fight? Here it is. And he took off his jacket, folks, and stood, he wanted to fight the dumb son of a bitch, the big pasty fuck from the union. Well, get this. It's not just the union people that want to fight, folks, or at least take cheap shots at people. Republican Representative Tim Burchett has come out today and accused the former speaker, Kevin tight in the crotch, tight jeans, light in the loafers, fruitcake McCarthy. Speaker Do Nothing McCarthy. He is accusing him of violently sucker punching him. That's assault, folks. It's assault. Apparently, it was a clean shot to the kidneys. Now, apparently, Mr. Burchett, who is one of several Republicans who said, McCarthy, you're out. What's the name for him? The Crazy Eight? Ooh, man, is it the Crazy Eight that supposedly went over the fuck, whatever their name is? They want to give everyone a number and a name. It's just like the Nazis did. Anyways, he was being interviewed by Newsmax or some other news organization, Tim Burchett, Republican. And McCarthy and his security detail. He's not even the Speaker of the House, and he still has a multi-million-dollar security detail to protect his dumbass. Well, that needs to be taken from him, for one. But as he went by, he elbowed Tim Burchett in the back, in the area of the kidney, and he says it still hurts. He's still fucked up from it. The reporter who was interviewing him thought it was a joke because Tim Burchett lunged towards her from the blow. So he has a witness to this. And he called after him and told McCarthy, get back here, right? You want to say something? You want to do something? Get over here. Number one, Representative Tim Burchett needs to file charges against Kevin McCarthy for assault. He needs to press charges. Tim, you have a key witness, the reporter. Number two, this is more evidence to you and me as patriots and as Americans that politicized homosexuals are violent. Right, Mr. Lentz? They're violent. As soon as you take LGBT people and mix political power, you end up with violence. Or if you take LGB and mix it with political activism, you get violence. All you quiet little LGBers out there who just want to do your own thing, fine. Right? No one has to put up with any of your shit. But as soon as they have a political idea in their head, they think they're entitled to commit acts of violence. Kevin, piece of shit McCarthy, had his chance to prove to the world that he was a decent fellow, that he was moral. But folks, he's not a moral guy. Now, number three, folks, McCarthy, when he was Speaker of the House, was 2 seats from the presidency. Think about it. Think about who is in those first 2 seats now, still. We face violence against us and hatred against us at the highest levels of government. And number 4, the point that I think is really important, has nothing to do with either Mr. Burchett or Mr. McCarthy. Mr. MAGA Johnson, Make America Great Again Speaker Johnson, who's in power right now, he's the new speaker, We want the January 6th tapes released. All of them. Now. I haven't forgot about this. Those tapes are supposed to be released. They're public video. There's no national security threat on there. It's information. And not only should we have it in the public, but it can be used for the defense of the January 6 people who are being prosecuted. Call Mr. MAGA Johnson, Speaker of the House. Call his office and demand they release the tapes. They should be in the public. They should be available for everyone, especially the J6ers who are being held in Guantanamo, D.C. I think I'm going to call it that from now on, Guantanamo, D.C. Unbelievable. Wow, I tell you. What do we got here? Okay. That would be an email about tobacco. Wrong account. Let me bring this up. This is important. In this fight, folks, it is not just about being American or not. It's about our culture, our traditions, our belief systems, our laws. They are all intertwined. Why is England different from America? We speak the same language. We have the same basic government, right? We have a leader, we have a legislature, we have courts. Why is America so different from England? Why is America so different from Canada or Australia or New Zealand? The reason is because our culture is distinct. Our history is distinct. Our traditions are distinct. Our laws are distinct. Very fine points, and that's why America is so much different. I dare say better, because we have more rights. Our rights come from God. It goes God, man, Constitution, government. We're number 2, not bad. Nothing wrong with silver. But government is number 4. They aren't even on the medal stand as far as power goes in my book. They can get the fuck out of here. Now, that said, that is why critical race theory is there. It's to destroy our history. That is why lawfare is being used. It is to destroy our laws. That is why they're in the schools, to destroy education, which teaches history, culture, tradition. That's what the LGBT crowd is out there doing, taking away what it means to be human and replacing it with a lie. Now, something cool happened today. I want to share it with you. A female billiards player decided, you know what? She got to the final match. And you know what she did? She forfeited. She walked away, said, I'm not fucking playing. Why did she do that? Why did a woman who made it to the finals forfeit the game and walk away? Well, let me tell you, the crowd cheered and applauded the move. Why? Because there was a person with a penis between their legs who was claiming to be a woman who was playing in the billiards tournament. That's right. This female pool or billiards player said no to men stealing women's glory and embarrassed this LGBT asshole who was there pretending to be a woman. This is what's going on, folks. We need to start defending our culture, our beliefs, and everything. Period. Now, it's almost time, but I have one more thing, and we need to be very careful here. Very, very careful. I got one for you from the Pfizer files. All right. Marge Taylor Greene is holding her congressional hearings today, exposing the public to what the doctors have to say, what the experts have to say, what the medical professionals have to say. I'm not saying anything, but I still will be very careful. So there was a doctor up there, and her name was, Dr. Biss. But there's another doctor who thinks his medical experience and superiority matters. And that's Dr. Bill Gates. Yeah. Oh, wait, you didn't know he's a doctor? Well, he's cited as an expert. His opinion can't be argued with. Same with Dr. Fauci, who is a bureaucrat. Now get this, folks. This doctor, Dr. Biss, explained to Congress that the how do we say this? She says, I've never seen this before. Sterilization appears to be successful. She explained to Congress that the Jim Jones juicination amongst her patients was about 60%. 60%. And said that there is an alarming, amongst her 8,000 pregnancies, that there is an alarming, folks, miscarriage rate. It has doubled. It is doubled. She says, I've never seen this before. So 60% of her patients have taken the Jim Jones juice. And the miscarriage rate, that is to say, year over year, women have not been able to hold their babies. It has doubled. She claims that it's injuries from the juice. What do you think of that, folks? She said, what's concerning is the majority of the patients, right, that got that, received them in 2021 and early 2022. Well, it's the end of 2023, and they're still seeing all of these miscarriages. So she says, quote, we're still seeing lingering effects. In other words, permanent damage. Sterilization is a success, right, Dr. Bill Gates? You bet, folks. The lingering inability to deliver and carry a baby to full term and then deliver it. How is this possible? And how can we not blame the one single solitary thing that changed? They're trying to take over everything in our world, folks. Do you have any doubts? If you do, explain them to yourself. Explain them to others. If you don't have your doubts and you understand what is going on is an attempt to sterilize the population, is an attempt to uneducate children, to take advantage of the elderly, to hurt the youth, to destroy wealth, etc. If you believe these things to be true, what are you doing about it? Are you ready to stand up like the senator and fight? We need to be fighting, folks. Fight like you mean it. And all right, here we are. It is now your turn. It is your turn to talk about what matters to you. So let's do this. Let's go to the inner circle. And we're back. Okay. Mr. Uman. Uh-oh. He says, from the beginning, I said this was a sterilization scheme. Long-term depopulation leaves you with less bodies to dispose of and gives you plausible deniability. Yeah, I tell you what, let's see. I'm in my 50s now and not afraid to beat the hell out of communists, by the way. I'm in my 50s, but when I was in my 20s, that is the 1990s, we started hearing about lowered sperm counts. We saw an increase in the rise of LGB, shall we say, feminine men, androgynous, or bodies that look like they were neither men or women. That's because of all the hormones they were putting in foods back then, And in my opinion, based on the scientific research I saw, right, the hormones, the drugs, soy, that's where the term soy boys came from, because it is apparent. This was an attempt to lower the fertility rate, and it worked. And they're going further, in my opinion, or I should say I agree with Uman's opinion and his prognosis, his post-gnosis, right? All we had to do was watch and see what happened. Sterilization. On top of all the other problems they have, right? With all these fruitcake soy boys out here, lowered sperm counts, people less fertile. Now women cannot carry their babies, or not as many women, or rather double the number of women cannot carry a baby to full term. That is what women are supposed to do. You know, men do what they do, women are supposed to do that. But at the same time, these fruitcake left-wing LGB folks who want SHTF in your face, they say men can get pregnant. What a fucking crock of shit. And they want to figure out a way that men can carry a baby, right? And they're conducting experiments. Why? Hey, women, Democrats hate you. I mean, when are the women going to wake up and realize they are the targets of extermination? They are. Women have XX chromosomes, men have XY chromosomes. So you can take a male, and if you can split the chromosomes between two people, you can combine them and create men and women. Women can't. They cannot procreate. They cannot. Anyways, I think this is an opportunity, or not an opportunity, but it's a part of the program is to exterminate women. They want men to be fruitcake, trans, whatever the fuck they are. They want them to replace women. And women still support the left wing? Really? Yep, really. Okay, let's move on if we shall, man, before I get myself in more trouble. Chin Music says, John, I went to the comments section on the MSDNC Facebook post. That would be MSNBC. I think Chin Music here mistyped. He almost implies that the NBC is the Democrat National Committee. And the point is well taken. Yeah, MSNBC is a mouthpiece for the Democrats. So he says, I went to the comments section on the MSDNC Facebook post about Senator Mullen, and they were all unaware that O'Brien had challenged Mullen. Typical Democrats start the story in the middle, made their heads crater. And their heads do need to crater, Chin. They do. My son, Lucas, who I love tremendously, who is a father now, makes me a grandfather. Lucas, so you guys have seen him in the past years ago, back when he was just a young man. He started something, and I had no idea that, well, I don't know if he started it, but he was part of it years ago, years before we were into triggering these leftist morons. That was something that he enjoyed doing, was making their heads crater, explode, making them act out, cry, whine, snivel, have to go sit in a corner and hug a fucking teddy bear. He loved triggering these fools years before Trump got in. He just enjoyed the hell out of it. Their heads need to crater, Chin Music. And I'm glad you're there, brother. And I really enjoyed that picture you sent, man. That was a good one. Folks, make yourself available for communists if you're a tough guy. Someone needs to give them what they've earned. And invite them into the boxing ring or a full contact mixed martial arts cage. They deserve to get what they deserve. And they also need to be told that they're a bunch of fucking cowards. Just like politicians are cowards, they use their political power to tell you your rights don't matter, and then they use their political power to command the police to violate your rights. They have other people as muscle for their lawlessness. Fuck them. Anyways, thank you, Chin Music. And folks, at this stage, I don't care. I just don't care. I'm not breaking any law, but I don't care about these people. If I offend them, too fucking bad. They do not have a right to not be offended. If they don't want to listen, they don't have to listen to the channel. If they don't want to listen to me, they can walk away on the street. If they don't like looking at me because I'm too white, too male, too masculine, then they can just go to hell. This is not their country, folks. They don't own this country. This country is owned by us, the people. And we have a set of laws in place called the Constitution, and it forms a republic. It is not the government's country. It is not the police's country. A lot of people think that the police run this place. No, they don't. They don't own this place. They don't run this place. They don't have a right to say anything about this fucking place that we call America. It's ours. All of ours. And we all have a right to it. Think about it. Government acts like they own the fucking ground. They do not. The feds don't own it. The state does not own the ground. They're in charge of administering the rules that are set in place, called the Constitution. These fucking people are out of their minds. They think they own everything and can go anywhere. That's why the rule is you can't go in someone's house if you're the government without a warrant, signed and sworn, right, with an affidavit declaring facts. And if they lie, it's perjury, a crime. They can't enter your house, right? The rain may come through the roof. The wind may blow through it. But the king may not enter. The government may not enter. It's not theirs. They don't own the house. They don't own the fucking ground. They don't own the streets. They have a job to do, and that's it. Remember who you are, America. Wake the fuck up. Mr. Uman, where are we going next? Name redacted says the issue of treason, speak in you, is a toe in the water for the cabal to install this everywhere. Yeah. In Ukraine, they want to call freedom of speech if the government doesn't agree with it treason. Now, remember, in Ukraine, no politicians were allowed to criticize Zelensky. No media, reporters, papers, television, or internet are allowed to criticize Zelensky or the government. The church was not allowed to criticize Zelensky, the government, the military, anyone. And if you did that, you had your money confiscated, your bank accounts closed, your property taken from you, and you were thrown in jail. Does that sound anything like a republic? Not even fucking close. Does that sound anything like a democracy? Would the people in a democracy say, we want everyone silenced by our government? No, the government is taking control of everything and claiming they own everything, including the minds and the speech of the people of Ukraine. And yes, the globalist scumbags and their puppets in Washington, D.C. want to install that mentality everywhere. Now think again. I just said a few moments ago, the state does not own your house. They do not own your car. They do not own the dirt. They don't own the roads. They don't own the stores. The state doesn't own anything. The cops don't own that stuff. Just because they have little lights on their cars and a little funny piece of metal on their chest, they don't own shit. They have authority, and that can be taken away. Now, in Ukraine, they've gone one step further, the same step that Hillary wants here. They want to claim not only do they own your house and everything in it, in your car and everything in it, and they can command you to obey at any time. They're trying for that shit. They also claim, and they're telling the people of Ukraine, we own your mind and we own your voice, and you may not speak against the government. That's what they claim. They claim to own the minds, the thoughts of the Ukrainian people. And so they penalize anyone who attempts to use their own mind and think for themselves. See how that works? It's not silencing criticism. It is a claim of ownership over the thoughts of others. and that if you use your own mind and your own voice, then you've committed a crime against the state by violating their control over your mind. It is literally mind control with a criminal penalty if you don't obey. How fucking wrong is that? Are you a slave? Are you a coward? Will you lay down in front of these people? Will you lick their fucking boots if they say so? Or are you going to get prepared? Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Get a fucking plan together and start taking action, folks. You better fight like you mean it. You better prep like you mean it. Our time is coming. Our time is coming. Thank you very much, Name Redacted. I appreciate everyone and what you guys think, write, say. It makes for good conversation because we can do that in America. We can have a good conversation. Truly. And we need to have these conversations. If we don't, they have won. They will control our voices, our minds, our thoughts. Mr. Human, big question mark. Excellent. That's what they want, folks. That's what they're after. All right, let's see what else you guys want to talk about today. We've got James Nicholson, who apparently is a black lab. He says, evening all. Hey, John, is Joey selling our oil reserves again? I'm to understand there are quite a few tankers sitting offshore currently. What are your thoughts? I have no idea. I really don't know for sure. I haven't read any reports on oil capacity, strategic reserves, and what Joe Biden is doing to screw us over with regard or respect to oil and energy. What I do know is they've shut down oil exploration, permits. They've shut down as much as they can. Pipelines, everything they can, they shut down. He's been selling our oil reserves off while the Middle East and other OPEC countries that aren't in the Middle East, like Nigeria or Niger, well, they're deciding they don't like the United States of America, while Joe Biden has fucked us over by screwing up domestic production, as well as the Keystone pipeline from Canada, a very friendly pipeline from a neighboring country. My thoughts, I don't know what's going on with the tankers offshore. They could be tankers of oil from other countries. They could be sitting there embargoed. They could be sitting there awaiting permission from the Biden administration. Remember, once the ships are offshore, they fall under the jurisdiction of the United States federal government, who by the interstate treaty known as the United States Constitution, the federal government is in charge of things offshore. I think that authority needs to be taken from the federal government and at best shared with the states. That's the most power I think the federal government should have, is that it should be sharing that authority and responsibility with states, and that states should have a say in what goes on off the coast of their sovereign territory. So off the coast of Texas, Texas should have a say. Off the coast of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, name these states, right? Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, California, Oregon and Washington, Alaska. Those states should have a say. The federal government has done nothing. They've shown that they are absolutely corrupt, inept. They're absolutely corrupt and inept. Or they're intentionally incompetent and they've fucked everything up. Okay, Uman says there was talk that Joey, meaning dumbass Biden, was going to buy oil to restock these strategic oil reserves. Typical government action, sell low, buy high. Correct. Correct. Yeah, he sold. We're going over hitting those buttons, man, hitting those buttons. Anyways, yeah, there's talk of it. I just don't know. Some things I like to speculate about. I'll get a little bit of news and then I'll speculate. Hey, what's this mean? Where's this going? What effect could this have on your world? Other times I want to wait for more information. But yeah, Joe Biden sold our oil to cheap Chinese bidders. And in order to replace that oil, he's got to pay a much, much, much higher price. Remember, the Biden administration sold for, I think, what was it, $6 million? He sold all the steel for the wall at the border that cost hundreds of millions of dollars. They're fucking idiots. Anyways, that's my thoughts. Thank you, James, and thank you, Uman, for your information as well. Let us continue. We've got less than 10 minutes and lots to discuss. Uman says the latest call for equity, not equality. It was funny. Martin Luther King Jr. wanted equality for everyone. That is, that we have the same opportunity, the same rules, the same rights. Now, these persons of color and other assholes that are leftists, they want equity, which means their idea of what fairness should be. It is not equality. It is special rights, special privileges. So the latest call for special rights and special privileges in Chicago by the ACLU is for the SPD to make fewer traffic stops of minorities. That would be Chicago Police Department. It's actually CPD, but Uman's good and consistent. Yeah, they want fewer traffic stops of minorities over pesky things like burned out headlights and taillights, because it may lead to scary, dangerous interactions. Well, here's the thing. If you're violating traffic laws, aren't you supposed to be pulled over and informed by the policeman that you need to fix a headlight, fix a taillight? Your tires are too bald. You were speeding. You did an illegal lane change. We need to make the rules equally set out. But now they want equity. They want, well, blacks and other minorities to not be pulled over because dangerous things can happen when you interact with the police. How about this? How about if you're a citizen, you don't pull a gun on a cop because you're having a bad day, right? When the cop asks you a question, you answer the question. If it's a legitimate question, right? It's not that hard. It just isn't. Scary, dangerous interactions like living. What? This is where we're going, folks. This is where this is leading. Wow. Okay. Let's go with a chin music closeout here from you guys. He says, man, so ignore public safety to protect public safety. That's right. No, it's, let's see, it's ignore public safety like the traffic laws to protect the special rights of special groups of people who are not to be held accountable for their actions because of race. Makes a perfect fucking sense to me. Yeah, protect public safety by ignoring public safety. That's like, helping people not be on drugs by giving them free drug needles. Okay, let us move on. Thank you, Mr. Chin Music. I want to talk about this topic here, folks. What haven't we talked about so far today? This afternoon? That's right. Hamas and Israel. There is photographic footage of Hamas shooting at Israeli Defense Force troops, shooting RPGs, that's rocket-propelled grenades at them. Well, the footage shows them doing so from a hospital, while Hamas simultaneously denies that it uses hospitals and the people inside, namely infants, women, children, as human shields. I have a question for you. Do you believe Hamas? There is nothing that could compel or convince me to believe Hamas. Everything is a fucking lie that comes out of their mouths. They are terrorists. Now, I'm going to ask you another question. Do you believe the IDF and the Israeli government when they make claims? Or do you believe no one? Now, if the IDF or Israel decides to make a statement, I like to examine it. Are they just making a bald-faced statement? Do they have evidence to support their claims? They've been doing that lately. They've been showing the things that Hamas does, using women and infants and children and men and the elderly. They've been using them as human shields. They have been hiding in hospitals. Lots of footage out of hospitals with terrorists running around inside. They have tunnels built everywhere. That's what they are. They're tunnel rats, folks. Now, do the Israelis lie? I'm sure they do, because governments lie. But I don't see film footage provided by Hamas of the IDF slaughtering thousands and thousands of civilians in Gaza. I've heard the claims that that is being done. I haven't seen the footage. I haven't. It's not that I want to see the footage, but I think it would go a long way in helping me believe something that Hamas has to say. That claim keeps coming up again and again from radical, anti-Israel, anti-American, anti-freedom, hate-filled scumbag leftists. Did I leave anyone out in that, man? They seem to keep leaving out the evidence, and they think that just making a claim should stand. I don't think so. Show me the evidence, Hamas. And if they don't, why can't they? This is very serious. Very, very serious. And I would like everyone to pay very close attention and give this some serious consideration. The Department of Homeland Security, which is run by Mayorkas, who is not being impeached because several Republicans are pieces of shit and decided he should stay in office, despite his absolutely delusional belief that the border is secure. Now, the Department of Homeland Security has raised the security status for the, quote, March for Israel function in Washington District of Criminals, the D.C. District, Washington, D.C. They've raised the security status to level 1. All that we need to understand, folks, are these things, and we need to watch. Israelis won't be violent. They'll be having a march for Israel. They won't be violent. Pro-Hamas, pro-Palestinian, pro-terrorist people will show up and they will act violently. And that tells the story of who they are. The Israelis won't be violent, but I'm sure they'll try and defend themselves if they're attacked. The pro-Hamas, pro-terrorists will show up and act violently and threaten people. What we need to understand is that this will increase tensions, not just at the march, not just in Washington, D.C., but around the country and then around the world. This will further divide people, left and right, for terror, against terror. It will galvanize people's belief systems, the more violence that there is. This is going to create this violence that shows up at the March for Israel. It will increase violence. It will increase and create riots and chaos. And it will invite, because of the nature of the terrorists, it will invite them to commit acts of terrorism in the United States of America, as well as around the world. And I want everyone to anticipate agents provocateur from Hamas or Hezbollah or other terror organizations. And we'll have agents provocateur out there causing fights from the LGB-FBI. And the LGB-FBI are known terrorist supporters, and they try and get people to commit acts of terror and conspiracy to commit crime to justify their existence as a federal law enforcement agency. And the FBI, folks, the LGB FBI, they act as Nazi-type instigators for further mega legislative control in the United States of America. They want more police state power, and they get it when they get these violent acts. Funny, though, how they didn't ask for more power to control people during the the Summer of Love 2020. The government, all the Democrat governments, just stepped back and got out of the way and said, you guys can protest all you want. You don't have to wear masks like the rest of the fucking country. You can burn shit down. You can break all the laws you want. We're just going to stand here with our little police shields and look stupid. But anticipate now, folks, because they want violence so they can pass more rules and get more authority. And they're not going to use that authority, folks, on these thugs. Sure, they'll beat down a few Antifa and a few BLMers. Sure, they'll beat down a few pro-Palestinians. They may even arrest one or two terrorists. But the effect of that will be to scare Americans into believing, yeah, there's terrorists here. They're committing terrorism. People need to die because of that. And the police, well, they can't stop it, so get ready. There's going to be more. That's what I see coming. That's what I see from this March for Israel. It's actually an event that is being done, and it will create more terrorism. More terrorism. Folks, chance favors the prepared mind is yours.